welcome back to Lower Keys Living, and thanks for joining us this week. I did not get to do what I had planned to do for you this week, and that was to get out to the Gulf of Mexico to get some underwater footage of my favorite lobster spots. And it's not because we couldn't. We actually went out there with the cameras. We have the cameras here with us for underwater filming, but our water clarity has not been very good down here for the last week and a half, 2 weeks. Everything's cloudy, silted up. I've got to imagine it's from all the storms, these big storms we've had coming through recently. But here in Tarpon Belly Creek, you can see all the ledges underneath these mangroves I talked about last week, and that hold great for holding lobster. And I really wanted to film some of the holes, the cave-ins that are in up here a little further up. But again, we got some footage, but it's just so unclear you really can't make out what we're filming. This is a little further down the creek, the last quarter mile before you get back out to the bay, and this is dead low tide, and I was starting to rub bottom here with the flats boat. So we make the decision, I actually spin us back around and get us out of here because I know it gets shallower up ahead. I've been in here at high tide when I've had a good 18 inches of water underneath me through this section, but just didn't want to chance it and wasn't accomplishing what I wanted to. So once we turned around, we headed back out towards the main channel and decided what I needed to do this week for you to get you set for mini season. I laid out some maps, some locations with some specific places that I go lobstering. I give you the pros and cons of each of those locations. There's some of my sealess locations that I go to for specific reasons that aren't great lobstering, but they're fun places to go to, and a couple of my A-lift spots. So stay tuned for that. Hope you enjoy the information and get a lot out of it. Hope you have a successful mini season, and stay tuned. We will get you going on that information, and I've got some great stuff coming up for you next week on what I call the forbidden fruit of mini season. Places where there are so many lobsters, but you're not allowed to access those during mini season. So stay tuned for that video next week, but hang on, and I'm going to take you out to my favorite lobster spots coming up right now. All right, let's just jump right into this. I'll get you through this as quickly and painlessly as possible. I'll get you as much information to get you out lobstering coming out here on the Gulf of Mexico side. For point of reference, this is the Kemp channel. This is one of the main channels in the Lower Keys that goes from the Atlantic out to the Gulf Coast. It runs in between Sawyer Key and Summerlin Key, but a good deep water channel, easy to navigate coming out here. Right in here, this area where I've got the arrow pointing, that is the Blimp Road boat ramp. Great spot to launch your flats boats or bay boats from to access this whole area. So good, easy access. But I do want to say before I get into specific spots that this entire area has loads of lobster habitat. I'm going to give you some suggestions from my point of view, but if you take the time and look around, you're going to find your own spots with ease. Pretty much this entire section, all the way from Snake Key along in here on the Gulf of Mexico side, is loaded with lobster habitat. It's just a matter of stopping, jumping in the water, looking around. If you don't see anything good, just move down 100 yards. You'll find stuff in here. But I'm going to start down here by Snake Key and run up here to Harbor Passage. So let's just jump right into this. So first spot on the list, this is not one of my A-list spots by any stretch of the means, but for point of reference, this is Snake Key. This is a famous sandbar. If you've seen photographs with the swing hanging from a mangrove tree, that's where this is. Really busy on the weekends. A lot of the guides will bring their sandbar charters out here from Key West, so that'll get really busy. If you know from my other videos, I like the less busy places, which is why I like this Barracuda channel right in here. This sandbar, great place where you can put your anchor in right here, let the boat swing across the sandbar. And I come here when we've got people that are not into lobstering, but they want to hang out on the sandbar, they want to be with everybody. So we can anchor the boat up here and got a nice deep channel, and it's not super packed with lobster habitat, but you can find lobster habitat in here. Not a place where I can say consistently get my limit, but I can usually find a couple lobsters in here while everybody else is having fun and doing what they like to do. So again, that's the Barracuda channel. Definitely a spot to check out. And if you like a less crowded sandbar, this one is really easy access for boats of all size. You can definitely bring in pretty much any size boat in through here. I would say up to, I've seen 35, 40-foot boats in here coming through this channel. And it's good on both sides depending on your wind direction, this area here or this entire area in here. So don't be afraid to check that out. Right, now to my A-list places for lobstering, a little further down. So this is this Sawyer Key in here. And I'm going to focus on this little bay right in here. This area, loads of lobster habitat. Definitely lots of great stuff at snorkeling depth if you're snorkeling. It does get a little deeper out here towards the Kemp Channel. And by the way, this is Kemp Channel through here. So a really good spot right in here. And I'm pretty sure you'll have success out here, even as packed as it'll be during mini season. That's a good spot. Now the next spot is definitely no secret. If you have one of the top spot maps, the really popular nautical charts for the lower keys, this is the only section that they have marked on their maps, and it is circled, this entire section. And you'll see there's a dive flag at the top of this little circle area on that chart, but it's a designated lobster area. They point out specific areas on their maps that are good for particular fish to catch. This one is the only place where I've seen them designate it as lobster spot. Lots of great lobster habitat all through here, but you're going to need a skiff or a flats boat to access a lot of this. But with pretty much any boat, this whole line across through here is accessible. Anywhere from 4 feet deep, even 2 or 3 feet deep along in here. If you've seen our video on the content keys, we're out here frequently, but this is just prime lobster habitat. This will be busy during mini season, guarantee it. But again, it's a few miles long. You're not going to have a problem finding a place to anchor up on your own and getting in the water. And if you're out there early enough, there's going to be plenty of lobster there. So just a little further east from this, and you can see right here is that content passage cutting through. And then up here is the harbor channel coming through this way. Great spot. I came up here 2 years ago and found this by accident, just happened to be going over in the flats boat and just saw loads of lobster habitat and loads of lobster sticking out. So I was able to catch my limit within easily under 10 minutes in here. Just great, lots of lobster holding ground. And it's saying this was the area that I stopped in, but I noticed there's lots of phenomenal lobster grounds all through here, and even out in here. So don't limit yourself to this, but if you want to check out a spot where easy access from the Gulf of Mexico, and if you look at this area on your chart, this is easy to navigate to from Big Pine Key. So just a great spot for lobstering. I would check it out. I heard that a lot of this had filled in with sand after Hurricane Ian came through, but had some friends that were out in this area a couple of weeks ago, and they said, yeah, there was a lot more sand in there, but still they could see just driving over lots of lobster in the area. So that's another good spot. So next up is Tarpon Belly Key. And again, this is one of those places that's not an A-list lobster spot, but a good solid lobster spot, but has lots to offer everybody. You can pull right in here, back your boat up right next to the beach so people can get off, be on the beach here. You'll see lots of people out here picnicking. They'll spend their day out here, and great places to come around. You can easily walk across these canals to access this island, and there's some trails that go through the island out here to these spots. So this was originally a shrimp farm plan. They had netted off both ends of both these canals, and obviously the shrimp farm is no longer there. There's some good debris piles here of, I don't know if it was a bridge or what they had for holding nets at the end of each of these. I can find some lobsters in those throughout the year. They get cleaned out and pretty clean early in the season, but later in the season, after people are gone, they're not in there really looking for lobsters so much. Where people don't go is along the edges of both the canals. Under the mangroves, there's lots of good ledge and holding place. Great lobstering. You can almost find lots of lobsters in here. This is one of the places that I use a snare, a lobster snare. That's a stick with a loop on the end of it that you pull tight. Whenever I'm working around mangroves, it's difficult to get a net in there, so I like to use that snare to get the lobsters because it's so easy for them to shoot back and away through mangroves and get away from you, and you'll never get a net in there. So that is Tarpon Belly Key. Again, this is straight across from the Blimp Road boat ramp. You can see this from the end of the Blimp Road boat ramp. It's a few miles away, but a great spot. And even if you're not lobstering, it is just a fun place to come out to. And then last but not least, our first trip down here, when we were house hunting, we rented a boat from this area over in here on Summerlin Key. And we didn't plan it, but we happened to be here. Part of our trip coincided with the last 2 days of lobster season, so we wanted to give it a shot. Our first time lobstering, so we asked for some suggestions where to go, and he gave us this spot. Just take the boat straight across and over to here. This runs from 2 feet deep on the outside, and some of this area gets 12 to 15 feet deep, and it's just packed with hollowed out ledges. You get lobsters from 2 feet down all the way to the bottom. So just teeming with lobsters. Water quality and clarity isn't always great, but a good spot to check out, and an easy access spot from pretty much anywhere. If you have a stand-up paddle board or a kayak and want to come over here, easiest place to launch. This is the Ramrods swimming hole in here. Popular place for people to bring their dogs to let them go swimming. Kids can hang out, but it's just an easy, little less than half a mile paddle over here if you want to come out here with a kayak or a paddleboard to hit this spot up. I've seen lobster along the ledges here, along the swimming hole, but there's lots of fishing gear stuck in there. It's a popular place for people to come fish or bring their kids to come fish from shore. So I don't mess around when I see a lot of those, because you just never know if you're going to miss something and not see a hook floating in the water and end up snagging yourself. So I don't go looking for lobsters in that area, but a great spot if you're looking for an easy access location. So that's it for this week. Got a great episode with what I call the forbidden fruit of mini season. And those are some channels exiting out from canals out into the bays that just are teeming with lobsters. I got some great video footage the last few days of those. I managed to find a couple of canals that had some clear water, but 30, 40 lobsters in a 5-foot section. Problem is, you are not allowed to lobster in those during mini season and for the first 10 days of regular season. But I'm going to show you that as a teaser, as an appetizer to lobster season. Thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful, give you some idea where to go. But if you're coming down here for lobster, guarantee it, you're going to find them. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I will try and answer those as quick as I can. Great lobstering. We hope to see you down here in the lower Florida Keys.